Good morning. It's been a while. I pray that your weekend was filled with spaces and places of joy, of peace, of happiness. I pray that if you're living in an area where autumn has begun to come in, that you are finding a way to enjoy this crisp fall weather. I understand that today is the last day of summer, so I encourage you to enjoy it as best as you can, even while we continue to practice social distancing during these COVID days. We're continuing our conversation about being emotionally or mentally exhausted and some signs that that may be something that you're going through. And today we're talking about a sense of a kind of detachment, just feeling detached. And I'm going to read you what this article says. You don't feel like you're attached to anyone or anything anymore. Nothing affects you. You don't feel good or bad. It's like you're just a body without any emotion. You've gone numb. Whatever it is that you're dealing with has drained your light to the point where you literally can't feel the emotions you normally feel when you encounter a situation or subject. It's sort of like depression, only instead of feeling weighted down by emotion, you're weighted down by the absence thereof. I had a brief conversation with someone in a parking lot this morning, and we were talking about, he was an older gentleman, and he was talking about how much COVID has affected he and his wife's life. And we began to talk about our concerns about not being able to do the things that we used to do, but even as some things are opening up, still feeling, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I should do that. I want to do that. Well, clearly I'm using that as an example of we weren't feeling detached. We had a feeling about it one way or the other. But those of you who may be experiencing some sense of detachment, you're just kind of numb, and that's understandable. We have been social distancing, or I should say some of us have been social distancing since March, and we have not been able to interact with our loved ones the way we would like. We have not been able to do the things we like to do. And we're finding that the days are blending into each other. We're confused about what day it is. We wake up and it's like, here we go again. And we don't necessarily feel bad, but we don't feel good. And you may say, well, how is that different than good mental health, than feeling balanced? It's because even when you're feeling balanced, you have things that excite you and you have things that don't. You have things that make you sad. You have things that make you perplexed. You feel a range of emotions. But when you're detached, you don't feel anything. It's kind of like I don't care, that's going on continually. And so my message to you is, if you're finding yourself in that place, to be gentle with yourself. And as we always say, first and foremost, acknowledge that you've kind of gone numb. And for some of us, this going numb has been caused by all of this mess that's going on in the world. How many times can we see somebody being shot on TV in the news? How many times can we hear something horrible coming out of our political administration, whereas at one point we would be up in arms and really upset, but now because it's just becoming so pervasive, or maybe we have so much access to those videos, or the political structures are just really, as that my grandmother would say, showing they behind, that we've kind of gone numb. We hear about something happening, and instead of saying, oh my, we're like, okay. What happened this time? You know, we've kind of gotten detached. We've kind of grown numb. And so, one thing I don't want you to be detached about. There's one thing I don't want you to be numb about, and that is about making sure that you check your voting status. Make sure that you have a plan in place because your vote does matter. This is an extremely important election, and I'm going to need each and every one of you to show up and show out. And how can you help? Maybe you can give an elderly neighbor a ride or help them to get a registration thing. Maybe you can take their mail-in ballots and drop them off at your voter office, you know, to make sure it gets to where it needs to go. Whatever you need to do, I just implore you to use your voice and to vote. And if you're feeling detached about everything else in your life, I just want to encourage you. This thing called COVID could have been over with a long time ago. We did not, as a country, have to be impacted the way we're impacted. So yes, your vote matters. And it matters on purpose. And I implore you to be intentional about voting on purpose. And I pray that you will practice self-care on purpose. I have missed you all. Look forward to getting back with you all on somewhat of a regular basis. Book club continues on Wednesday evening at 8. And call somebody who you haven't talked to in a while and just say hello. I bet it'll make their day. Love you all. Bye-bye.